Oh, so that's why I don't remember what happens in this book. Because I probably DNF'd it the way that I did this time. Hello! Welcome to this week's video. For this week, I'm going to be doing not necessarily a wrap-up because I wasn't intending to have a wrap-up for you guys because I was focused on reading one book, and by the end of the month I had not finished that book. I was only like halfway through. However, it worked out that at that halfway point, the book lost its mind, and I skimmed the rest, and I have a review for you. We're about to do some raging and ranting. Buckle in! This is going to be spoilery AF because I have some raging to do. And we are talking about a book that disappointed me because I remember loving this book, even though I didn't remember how the book ended. So apparently, I most likely loved the first half of this book, but never finished it, for reasons we will be discussing today. Because I finished it, but I still consider it a DNF because I skimmed the second half of this book because it lost its mind. And the book we are talking about today is Destiny by Sally Beauman. Now, I was so excited when I got this book at my evil day job. Because, like I said, I had not read this book since I was a wee, probably preteen. I think probably around 11 or 12. And yeah. So Destiny is the story of Edouard and Helene. And Edouard is from a wealthy family, and he's English, British, wealthy family based in London, but he pretty much lives in Paris. And Helene is a daughter of I think she's French. Yeah, she's a French woman who made some bad choices and lived, fell on hard times and had to live in Alabama, in a trailer park in Alabama. So these two are most definitely worlds apart. However, they are connected in a certain way that we will get to. So Edouard is a second son of I think, jewelry company. His company owns a lot of different things, but he got money. He's the second son, but he basically runs everything after his father dies because the oldest brother, Jean-Paul, is a useless ass butt. And as we follow Jean-Paul and Edouard, we find out that Jean-Paul actually meets Helen's mother, and they have the sex, and Helen's mother gets pregnant. And as I'm reading this, it starts to dawn on me, is Helen gonna be Jean-Paul's daughter? Because then Jean-Paul pays a guy to marry Helen's mother, because he doesn't want to, because Reed useless ass butt. So he pays a guy to marry the mother, but I think that then the guy, like, after he like gets the money and like marries her, he either like goes to war and dies, or he abandons them. But either way, we learn that Helene is John Paul's daughter. John Paul, who is Edward's brother. Yes, this is going where you think it's going. So, Helene, poor girl, is growing up hella poor in Alabama, and she develops a friendship with this boy, Billy, who is just the sweetest. Just, oh my god, he is the preciousest thing, and he adores her. But she mostly just thinks of him as a friend, because Helene has big dreams and she wants to get out of Alabama. She wants to like break free of the poverty that she's living in. Her mother keeps promising that they're going to move to London, like save enough money and like move to London, where her sister is Helene's mother's sister, so Helene's aunt lives, and Helene is just desperate to get out of Alabama, and Billy sort of like doesn't think that he's good enough for her anyway, even though he is in love with her, and he's always like lifting her up and telling her that like it doesn't matter like how I feel about you. I know that I'm not for you, that you're going to get out of here and you have a big, amazing future ahead of you, and you're going to like conquer the world and like achieve all of your dreams, and just he's so wonderful. I loved Billy so much. Like, even though like Billy and his family are sort of treated even worse than the other people sort of in the neighborhood, because Helene goes to this school that is sort of a little bit better, and I think it's like her mother got together like enough money for her to like go to this school, but where like the kids there really look down on the trailer park kids, and who like Billy and his family are definitely even worse off than Helene and her mother, and so Helene sort of has this friend, Priscilla, who was just this horrible, horrible bitch, and she acts like she's doing Helene this favor by like being her friend, and Helene has a birthday, and Billy has a job, I think, working at an auto shop, and he saved some money and he wants to take Helene out for her birthday, and it's so sweet of him, and yet somehow, and I still don't know how, but somehow Priscilla and her boyfriend, I think his name is Dale, who is like another piece of shit, so they're well suited, managed to get themselves invited to this dinner and completely ruin it, because Dale, I think his name is Dale, Priscilla's boyfriend, spends the entire time putting Billy down, hitting on Helene, and then Priscilla, of course, does that thing that women do where they blame the other woman for the fact that their boyfriend has a wandering eye, instead of booting out the boyfriend, the cheating boyfriend. No. They blame the other woman because of that whole conditioning of, oh, I need to have a man at any cost. So if anything threatens that, of course, I'm not going to blame my man because I need to keep my man, because I can't be a single woman because single women are sad. And even if he's a cheating ass butt, at least I have a man, and I'm not by myself, because that would be a fate worse than death. So that's Priscilla, and they ruin this birthday dinner. Absolutely. And Helene just basically tells both of them off after she has had enough of them, their little snide comments to Billy. And so Helene leaves with Billy, and that's the end of her friendship with Priscilla. Thank God, because I hated that much. Mama has a lover who we learn is who's a man named Ned Calvert. And they call him Major Ned Calvert. And he's one of the richer people in the town. And he's, of course, married. And so he sort of has, like, Helene's mother on the side. And is, like, buys her things and, like, gives her money. And on top of, like, the job that she has, I think, at a beauty salon, he is sort of, like, supporting her. And that way they can, like, gather money, or Helene and her mother are, like, gathering money to hopefully someday go to London. Then Major Ned Calvert starts looking Helene's way and starts being extra nice to her and basically grooming her to the point where he gets her hella drunk and starts molesting her. Now, Helene, of course, doesn't necessarily understand what's happening. I think she's around, like, 14, 15 when it starts. And he's molesting her. And she, again, doesn't really understand what's happening. And then she likes that this man is, like, paying her this attention. And it just gradually escalates. On the other side of the world, we have Edouard, who knows that Jean-Paul, he doesn't know about Helene, but he knows that Jean-Paul is basically anything that moves. And he knows that he has this other son, that Jean-Paul has this other son, Gregoire. And of course, Jean-Paul doesn't give a shit about any of his children. But Edouard sees that this little boy, is living in this abusive home. So he convinces the sister to talk to her mother and get the mother and the son to come live with him, and he'll take care of them. So he gets the mother a job, and he gets Gregoire an education. But Gregoire doesn't really like school very much. He's more of sort of like a hands-on person. He likes working with machines, and he doesn't really fit in Edouard's world. And Edouard's mother, like, is just this stuck up, head in the clouds, everything has to be about appearances sort of shrew, who, in my opinion, didn't deserve Edward's father, who was a good man, in my opinion, who died during the war after being killed by the Germans for being part of the resistance. So Louise treats this kid, Gregoire, with like derision and like looks totally down on him, and tries to continuously talk Edouard out of taking care of this child. And, you know, why don't you find a wife of your own and have children of your own? And, like, children of, like, proper breeding. And sadly, Gregoire gets meningitis and dies. And Edouard is grief-stricken. And it was just very, very sad and horrible. And he only starts to pull out of his grief when he re-encounters this woman named Isabelle, who was his brother Jean-Paul's fiancée, but who always kind of had a soft spot for Edouard, because Jean-Paul really didn't give a shit about her, and I don't know why they were engaged, because he clearly didn't love her. I think it was just like she was beautiful, and she had money, and like it was sort of like she's an appropriate wife for me kind of thing. But Isabelle quickly realizes that Edouard is the better brother. But he's younger than her, and so when they finally like meet again, when Edouard's an adult, they start a love affair, and it's very sweet. I liked Isabelle a lot, and so they actually get married, and Isabelle gets pregnant, and it's like Edouard is finally starting to be happy again. And sadly though, they are in, I think it's Angiers, and Jean-Paul is there, and they're like, there's some like family business stuff going on, and Isabelle, Jean-Paul, and Edouard are having lunch somewhere, and Jean-Paul has this boy toy, because Jean-Paul is apparently, he's either hiding his homosexual tendencies or he's bisexual. And he kind of rents a boy in Angiers, and the boy keeps pushing him to like, you know, I don't want you to keep me a secret. I want you to, you know, like introduce me to like your family and blah blah blah. And Jean-Paul is like, are you crazy? Like, you're not, you know, I care about you, but my family wouldn't understand, and all this garbage. But the kids keep pushing, and I think he's like 18 or something. And finally, Jean-Paul agrees to, you know, my brother and his wife, we're going to be having lunch in this restaurant. Why don't you come by? And, you know, you can like sort of meet them, and without, you know, like, we won't have to say anything about, you can just be like someone that I know, an acquaintance of mine that we run into at the restaurant. So the kid's like, yeah, that would be great, and I would like that. So the boy comes, and instantly Edouard picks up that something is not quite right, or not quite above board with Jean-Paul and this boy. He senses that there's something going on, and he's not happy about it. He feels like there's some kind of like scheme going on, and Jean-Paul is keeping the secret of some kind. But they have the lunch and everything, and then all of a sudden, the boy gets up and leaves. Maybe because he sensed the tent, like Edward figures like maybe he was sensing the tension, and that's all fine. And then Edward goes to like get something at his car, I think it was. He brought something in the car. And then you get John Paul and Isabel, and they're sitting there. And then Isabel says, "Oh, the kid forgot his bag." And then a bomb goes off. And a bomb goes off. And we learn that little lover Rant boy was actually a terrorist who used Jean Paul to get information from him, and deliberately got him to invite him to this dinner so that he could come, lunch I guess, come to this restaurant and plant this bomb and kill all these people. And Edward is again heartbroken and devastated, and all these like bad things keeps happening to this man. And he learns only because the whole time, from the moment Isabel gets pregnant, the whole time she's going on about like, oh, like I can't tell Edward today because like he's like doing this or whatever. And it's like, oh, I'll tell him tomorrow. And then she's like, no, I'm not going to tell him yet because he's got all these meetings and everything, and like he's going to be really busy and blah blah. I'll tell him tomorrow. She kept putting off telling him that she was pregnant, that I knew something was either going to happen to her or the baby. And it happened to both of them. So Edward then learns that, of course, after she's dead, he learns that she was pregnant. So it's a double grief for him. And speaking of pregnant, Helene's mother gets pregnant by Major Calvert. And Helene realizes that the lover that her mother has, who's been showering her with all these gifts and money, is the man who has been, to her mind, seducing her, but we know he's been molesting her. So Helene finds out that the man who's been molesting her is her mother's lover. When she realizes this, she goes to Major Calvert and she asks him for money because her mother, the mother cannot afford to have this child. So the mother decides that she's going to go to have an abortion. But, of course, it's the 40s. It's the 40s and the 50s. So the abortion is illegal. And so she has to go to some nefarious doctor to perform an illegal abortion. A dangerous illegal abortion. You know, because the fact that abortion is illegal doesn't stop the woman from getting the abortion. It just makes her get one in unsafe places. Republicans, I'm talking to you. If you want to switch off this video, that's totally fine by me. Go right ahead. I'm totally okay with that. Go on. If you support what the Republicans are trying to do, I don't want you watching me. All right, let's continue. So she goes to him and she asks for money I don't think she tells him that it's for her mother to get an abortion, but she says that she needs help. And Major Calvert is like, oh, sure, but if I'm going to do this for you, a friend would do, we're friends, so friends do favors for each other. Meaning, if I'm going to give you this money, you better let me F you. And it's at that moment that Helene realizes that this man doesn't love her. He's only been seducing her and trying to use her. He only wants her for sex. So it took her a while to get there, but she got there. And she stands up to him and says, I'm not going to have sex with you. And to be fair, he does not rape her. He gets himself off with her breasts. He tit fucks her. I was like, what's the term? I know there's a term. Yes, so he does that. And, yeah. So, to be fair, he doesn't rape her, which surprised me. Because I definitely thought that's where we were going. But before you start thinking that Major Ned Calvert might have a smidge of a moral code, this riot breaks out because this is Alabama, and blacks are persona non grata still to this day, but especially back then in the 50s. This riot breaks out when a young black boy a murder happens, and this young black man is murdered by this white guy. And Billy sees what happens. But of course, everybody's like, the black guy deserved it, and the black guy, attacked the white man, and all this, and Billy's like, no, that is not what happened. But he is afraid to speak up because he's poor. Like, he's white, but he's poor. And so he's afraid to speak up. And Helene is afraid for him because Billy's afraid to speak up, but he knows that it's the right thing to do. So Helene doesn't want him to, because of course she's afraid for him, and so she's like, let's just run away. She's so traumatized by what Major Calvert has done, and the disillusionment finally of her thinking that this was the man of her dreams, who was gonna give her this better life, and who loved her, and learning that he has impregnated her mother. She's so disillusioned by that she's finally just Billy, come with me, and like we'll go and we'll run away. And Billy's like, I can't, I have to do this. Besides, I know that I'm not part of where you're going. I don't belong in sort of your world where you're going. But Billy goes to the police and tells them what he saw. But of course, they don't believe him because important white people versus trailer trash white people versus poor dead black person, poor dead black man, Alabama. So Billy goes to Helene and basically says, like, I've done it, and now it's sort of up in the air. And Helene is like, please come and like run away with me. I'm scared for you. But he's like, no, I can't. There's nowhere for like me to go, and I can't go with you. Personally, he should have run away with her. I don't understand why he didn't run away with her, but he didn't. And Elaine says, well, I'm leaving. I'm taking, once like my mom gets her procedure done, I'm leaving. And then she and Billy, as a sort of goodbye, they make love. And she is on her way back to, Billy like says his goodbye to her and says, like, I know that like amazing things are going to happen for you. And he is just preciousest. And then they go their separate ways. And then a short while later, Elaine hears a gunshot. But before that, when she's with Billy, she sees Major Calvert and his friends, who were, I think one of them was the one who killed the black man, kind of drive by and look kind of like threateningly at Billy and basically threaten him and say that, like, we know kind of like what you did and you're going to pay for it kind of thing. And then that's when like Helene is like, let's go, we need to go. And Billy's like, no. He should have gone with them, because when he and Helene split up, she is on her way home and she hears a gunshot. So she runs back and she sees Billy on the ground, dead. She knows right away that it was the men in the car. That it was Major Calvert and his friends that killed Billy. And she, right then and there, she vows revenge. And she goes to her mother to see her, like, because mother's in the hospital. Because, of course, the procedure, which was done not by a legal doctor in a safe environment where it should have happened if abortion had been legal back then, of course, the procedure goes wrong. And then Helene's mother dies. So Helene, in the space of like, a day, 2 days, a week, loses Billy and loses her mother. All because of this mother, Major Ned Calvert. So she vows revenge. She is going to make him and the men who killed Billy pay. Put a pin in that. We'll put a pin in that. She goes to the woman, the mother's boss, a woman named Cassie at the salon, the woman who owns the salon. And Cassie has always been, good to them, and she was a friend to the mother, and she, she's heartbroken over what happened, and she gives Helene some money for her to get out of town and go find her aunt. So she goes to the aunt, but the aunt is such a bitch that she allows Helene to stay there for like a couple of days, but makes it clear that she's so unwanted. And Helene either leaves after a few days, or the aunt like kicks her out after a few days. And Helene ends up I think, did she go to California? Yeah, I think the aunt is in California. Or Paris. I can't remember where. But she goes to the aunt, it goes bad. Helene then ends up moving in with this girl and her two guy friends, Louis and Thad, or Tad, we'll call him Tad, who they gave me like very like sort of sleazy California bum, pothead bum kind of vibes. Like the kind of dudes who would basically like take a pretty girl and like put her in like a porno movie. Like those kind of dudes. And so she's living with them for a while, and then she's out walking somewhere, and then she stops at this church, and she's looking up at this church, and then that's where Edouard sees her for the first time. He's driving by, and he's I think he's like either like he's leaving like one of his businesses in, I think, California, I think, or if it was Paris, I don't remember, but he's leaving one of his businesses, and he comes out and he sees her, and it's insta-love, like so insta-lovey. Like I don't even understand why these two were together. I don't. It was just so like instant, and he starts talking to her, and she of course like makes up this whole fake background of like who she is, completely lies about like who she is and where she comes from, and they fall in love. I don't know why. Rereading it like this time, like I didn't feel it. I was told that they were in love. He sort of like saw her as his like new kind of like chance at like happiness, and he's never loved like this before, and I wanted her to stay with Billy. I wanted her and Billy, and I know that like she just thought of Billy as a friend. I got it. However, Billy loved her so much, and he was so beautiful and wonderful that I didn't feel the same connection with Edouard and Helene. But I was told it was there. Okay. At the same time, I have always in the back of my head, isn't he her uncle? Isn't he her uncle? So I think that was part of the reason that I couldn't quite get invested in this love story. And so Helene supposedly falls into this grand epic love with Edward, and she starts to feel guilty that she's not pursuing her revenge against Major Calvert and avenging Billy. Instead, she's allowing herself to be happy with this man. Well, again, put a pin in that little revenge against Major Calvert. Put a pin in that. Then, a couple of months later, she discovers that she's pregnant with what she believes is Billy's child. And it's at this point that the book loses its fucking mind and goes down the shit crapper. Goes down the crapper. Because she believes that she's pregnant with Billy's child, because apparently she can't do math, and is so ignorant of the ways of baby making that she doesn't realize that too much time has passed for the baby to be Billy's. I was so happy when I found out that she was pregnant and thought it was Billy's, because again, I wanted her with Billy. Even though I know Billy was dead, I wanted this little part of Billy to still survive. But no. The doctor tries to explain to her that she's actually less far along than she thinks she is, so that the baby is actually Edward's and not Billy's. But she doesn't seem to understand this. She thinks that she knows better than the doctor. So she decides that she's going to leave Edward because she can't bear for him to hurt him that way by having to lie to him that the baby that she thinks is Billy's, to pretend that it's his, when it actually is his. So she takes off and hooks up with Lewis and Tad again, and agrees to be. They are actually like filmmakers, and she agrees to be in their movie. But they're not porno filmmakers. They're, I guess, legit filmmakers. They're like independent filmmakers, and she agrees to be in their movie, and sort of starts her career as a movie star. And meanwhile, Edward is frantic looking for her, and he manages to track down her aunt, her she-aunt, who informs him that Helene lied basically about everything, and that Helene is only 16. So, not only do we have Helene sleeping with her uncle, which at this point Edward still doesn't know, and neither does Helene. We have Edward unknowingly sleeping with a 16-year-old and getting her pregnant. Sally Beauman, what the f*** were you doing? But okay, that would so not fly today. I was reading that and I was like, y'all, if this book came out today, Sally Beauman would have been like burned at the stake. With today's like cancel culture and book Twitter and like, no, that so would have not flied today. So, it's at this point that I started to skim, because I found the parts with Helene living with Lewis and Tad and becoming this movie star so boring. It just dragged and dragged. And I think eventually she starts to understand, I don't know what triggered the light bulb going off, that the baby was actually Edward's and not Billy's. But at this, like, she finds out, the light bulb finally goes off, and she finds out that the baby is Edouard's and not Billy's. But she thinks that Edouard will never forgive her for abandoning him and leaving him. So does she go to Edouard and tell him that the baby is actually his, even though she thought it was somebody else's? No. She goes to Louis, and Louis supposedly loves her. So Louis knows that the baby's not his, but he agrees to marry her anyway. And we'll put a pin in that, because then we have Edouard finally finds her, but of course doesn't confront her or anything. He finds where she is, and he sees how she's becoming this successful actress. And but she's still, like, I think 16, 17 at this point. So Edouard at least has a functioning brain cell and is like, I'm going to stay away from her even though I love her. She's the love of my life. And I'm going to stay away from her because I want her to, like, realize her dream and achieve everything that she wants, even if I can't be with her. So Edouard decides that he's going to buy this film studio to help Louis and Tad's movies, like, get distribution and get popular and successful. So he's sort of like behind the scenes without Helene knowing that he's doing everything that he can to help her achieve her dreams. And the fact that Helene goes and, like, marries Louis, instead of going to Edouard and saying, I have your, like, we have a child together, didn't make sense to me, particularly because of Helene's upbringing. She grew up dirt poor, abandoned by the man she thought was her father, and she's going to essentially do the same thing to her daughter. She gives birth to a girl and she names her Catherine. Even though I think she thinks in her mind she's giving her daughter a better life because she's married and settled and she has this great career now. But it just felt really lousy, in my opinion, that after she knew what it was like to grow up without her father, and I guess her reasoning was like, oh, at least I'm giving. Oh, sorry if you guys can hear that. They've decided to start doing construction, but we're going to be wrapping up soon. So, yeah, she marries Louis, and they are like a family for a little while. So then there's these two women from Edouard's past who somehow, I don't know how they knew of Helene, but there's some kind of connection. Again, the moment that she leaves Edouard because she thinks she's pregnant with Billy's baby, I started skimming, because then we get Louis's point of view and we get Tad's point of view. I don't know why, but it made the story drag so much that I just started skimming, and I'm like, okay, when are we getting back to Helene and Edouard getting back together? And it took forever, and it took forever, and it took forever, and it was just, I didn't know that reading about, I love glamour kind of like type novels where like she rises from the ashes to become like this famous actress or whatever. I usually love those. Sally Beauman made this so boring, this whole journey of her becoming an actress, because we're in Louis's head and then we're in Tad's head, and it's like, why? I want to stay in Helene's head because I want to understand the stupid decisions that she's making. Somehow, these two women show up from Edouard's past. I think it was like Gregoire's mother or something, and they knew something about Helene. I think one of them ends up being Helene's daughter's nanny or housekeeper or something. And so they tell him that she had a baby girl, and that she tells that the baby girl is actually his, and they wait until like Louis and Helene are like out, and they sneak Edouard in to come and like see his daughter essentially for the first time. Does he then like go and confront Helene to say, why didn't you tell me that you were pregnant with my baby? No! He steps back, and he's going to stay away. And he's going to wait for the day that Helene comes back to him. What? It felt like it didn't make sense. It felt like Sally Beauman was just doing that for it to be this pining, aching for each other drama of like, no, we can't have them happy yet. We have to keep them apart because he doesn't want to like push her at like she's not ready for me to, be in her life. She's not ready to give up her dream or whatever. Like, as if she would be with him, that meant that she couldn't be an actress anymore. I didn't read that. Then again, I was skimming at that point, so maybe he did say that, but I didn't get that from him. But just basically like, I'm gonna wait until her heart is ready to come back to me. And I'm gonna go back to being in the shadows. Meanwhile, Louis decides that he's going to start becoming an abuser and starts hitting Helene and beating her because she doesn't love him. And because he finds out that the baby that they have been raising is actually Edouard's. Now, he knew from like day one that was not his baby. Louis knew that he was not the father of that child. From what I understand, unless I missed something, but he knew. But for some reason, he starts beating her because she doesn't love him, and he can see that every time she's with him, that she's thinking of somebody else. Then divorce her. Don't turn it into like this fucking abuser. But of course, for some reason, again, Helene takes this, which makes no sense from the badass young girl who fought her way out of poverty from living in a trailer, who basically fought every day of her life in that small town to survive, is all of a sudden accepting that this man is abusing her. She went from this strong, badass girl to this cliched, sad movie star with secrets. And, oh, I'm so sad. I'm rich and successful, but oh, I'm so sad because of my secrets. I hated her as the story went on. She became unrecognizable to me. Then, all of a sudden, so Helene finally, I think, leaves him, Louis, and then somewhere, I'm not sure where, but somehow Helene and Edouard meet each other again, and all is forgiven. Again, at this point, I was skimming, so to be fair, I could have missed some stuff, but I didn't really read any sort of like explanation of like them having a conversation about the fact that she left him and why he didn't look for her or like why he stopped looking for her. But all of a sudden, they're together again, and all is forgiven, and they're happy, and they're in love, and it's beautiful. It's supposed to be beautiful. But in the back of my head, I'm like, he's her uncle! He's her uncle! And then Lewis kills himself. For reasons, I guess. I don't know if like he got drunk and because yeah, he was drinking and being abusive. And he ends up killing himself. Okay, fine. I didn't care about him. I didn't care about Tad. We spent too much time with them. And then Helene and Edouard get married. And do they live happily ever after? No! That's not what happens in this mother psycho mess of a book. They're expecting a baby boy. And then somehow, I don't know how, again, because I was skimming at this point, Edouard finally learns that Jean-Paul, his brother, is Elaine's father. And he is understandably horrified. However, he decides that Helene can never know. Okay, fine. So he makes that decision. Helene can never know. So I thought, okay, honestly, I understand that decision. Because what good would it do for Helene at this point, after how long they've been apart and how much they supposedly loved each other, and they already have one child, she's pregnant with another, they just got married, they're starting their lives. What good would it do for Helene to know that Jean-Paul was her biological father? So Edouard burns the papers so that she can never find out. And I'm thinking, okay, great. I understood it. I understood him making that decision. And I thought, okay, so they're gonna live, their lives happily, and Edouard is just gonna keep that secret for the sake of this family that he's built and the woman that he loves. No! That's not what happens in this motherfucking mess of a book. He burns the papers, and then decides to go for a drive and kill himself. That's right. After 838 pages, Helene is left alone with her children. Rich, because, she was Edouard's wife, and she now pretty much owns everything. Fine. She's had a successful career. But her husband is now dead, and she's alone, and abandoned once more. And that's the end of the book. Are you kidding me? I was so... I had to read that scene like 3-4 times to understand that yes, he actually did just kill himself. because he was so horrified at the fact that he was married and in love and had children with his niece. And his reasoning was, I can't let her know. Fine. But I can't ever be with her again because I'm her uncle and something might go wrong with the children. Which, they have a daughter already and she's fine. And as far as we know, the son was alright. The son that she was pregnant with was alright. There was no reason for him to think that any of their future children would have issues. Again, in a logical, if this had happened earlier on in the book, I could understand if that was the reason that he'd stayed away when she first left. If he'd found out, I found out that she's my niece, so we can't be together, and fine, and then clearly not a romance novel, set up as this grand epic love story. No. It was, sorry, don't worry, that's gonna fall onto my camera. Set up as this grand epic love story. No. It was sad rich people making stupid fucking decisions. I was so angry that I remember loving this book, and I don't think I read the whole thing. I remember loving potentially the first half of this book, because even 12-year-old me, if she'd read the whole book, would have been pissed and would have burned this motherfucking book. Oh, and remember that little pin that I put in about Billy and the revenge against Major Calvert? I can't take the pin out, because that entire story arc was just dropped. Completely forgotten. Mind you, as I said, I was skimming the last half of this book. But I was looking for, specifically, because I wanted to see this revenge against Major Calvert happen. Never happened. There was no revenge. There was no justice. Billy died. He was never avenged. Major Calvert was never made to pay, along with his friends, for what they did, for what he did to her mother. Just completely forgotten. I think, mind you, we were only in June. We just started, we were only in June. I think this may be my most hated book of 2021. So far. My most hated. So, that was a long-ass book review, but I had raging to do. So this was not necessarily a book wrap-up, as there was only one book. We'll just call this a book review for Sally Beauman's Destiny. Right now, I'm about to start on Audible. On Audible, I am about to start, whoosh, and I think this is going to be a huge mistake, Catherine Anderson's Annie song. And I think this is going to be a mistake, because the premise of the book is sad. Catherine Anderson writes sad books, beautiful love stories, but they're very emotional. And I was watching the review on the Book Refuge, Jen at the Book Refuge, talking about this book. And she was talking about how it made her cry. So I think getting it on Audible may have been a mistake, because I like to listen to my audiobooks on the way to work, on the way back from work. And I have a feeling that it's going to be hard trying to hide my tears on public transit. And in ebook, I have started Catherine Gaskin's The Summer of the Spanish Woman. Now, I loved Catherine Gaskin's The Ambassador's Woman. I loved that book. Again, I loved it when I first read it in the early 2000s, because it was this massive book that I took with me when my family, we moved to Portugal for a couple of months. And I had it there with me, and I was reading it a little bit at a time. Love that book. But again, like Sally Bowman's Destiny, I wonder if I would have the same reaction if I were to reread that book. I'm looking for it. It's not, that I can tell, it's not available in ebook. So I might get a paperback copy of it. We shall see. We shall see. I would like to reread that one and see if it still stands up. But I'm reading Summer of the Spanish Woman on ebook, Annie Song by Catherine Anderson in Audible, and paperback, I don't have one picked out yet. My nighttime read is still Diana Gabaldon's Go Tell the Bees That I'm Gone. I'm thinking of doing a reading vlog for that one, and just sort of like giving you my thoughts as I go through like a few chapters at a time. It's going to be a long-running reading vlog, because I want to take my time with that one, because I know that book 10 is a long time coming, and I don't want to finish this one early and then be like those annoying people pestering her a month after the book's been out. Or, okay, when was it out? February, March? I think it came out. Already pestering her. Are you done book 10 yet? Are you done book 10? When is book 10 coming out? Is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? Listen, we authors, we love that you're excited for our books and you can't wait till the next one comes out. But, again, we will let you know. Stop asking when the next book is coming out, because it's not the compliment you think it is. It's pressure, and it's keeping us, it could contribute to writer's block, where there's so much pressure to write the book that you're blocked from actually like writing it. And it keeps us from having a actual life balance if every email you're sending or every message you're sending is it done yet? Is it done yet? Have you finished book 10? Is it coming out yet? When is it coming out? Is it finished? She will let you know. In the meantime, there are millions of other books books to read. Calm your shit. So I'm taking my time with these. I'm thinking of doing like a reading vlog series for it. And yeah. Oh, so that was a long video. A long video for one book, but I'm here. I'm here, and this is what I do. I talk. I talk, and I rant, and I rave, and I squee about books and shows and things that I love and things that I hate. So if you like that, subscribe, because that's what I do here. So that's gonna be it for this week's video. Make sure you're subscribed. That would be awesome. Give the video a like, because when you do that, when you like and comment, that helps the YouTube algorithm bring the video up in search results and such, and that helps the channel grow and helps people find my videos. So that would be awesome. So follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/authorejamie. Like my Facebook page at facebook.com/authorejamie, and I will talk to you guys next time. It'll take something special to knock this one off of my worst book of 2022. We'll see. We'll see.